passionate knowledge sharers, the list goes on, all working towards the common goal, right? We have different reasons for being here. Some folks want to enhance their platform or experience. Other folks want to give back, share their knowledge, and some folks just want to learn, right? So regardless of if you are a developer or researcher or business developer or any of that stuff, you have a place here. So if this is your first time joining us, just know that this is our weekly meeting on Wednesdays. We kind of do like a semi all hands where we try to all come together and just review what OMI has done in the past week, any main blockers or fun updates, and share out some brief highlights from our working groups. For folks who may not be familiar, or if you want a quick refresher, we do work in a working groups model. You can always go to OMI group/OMI group. So this subrepo here. And this is our primary README. Covers things like our core values, our vision, and how to get involved. But if you scroll down, it tells you a bit about our working groups. I guess I could make that more concise. And you can get direct links to each of the working groups. So depending on what your skill is or interest or reason for being here, you can click one of these and hop right in, get involved and see kind of what they do, when they meet, how you can get involved there. You can join in on discussions, ask questions, and just generally support where you feel comfortable lending your skills. At the present moment, these are our primary working groups with repos, with working agreements, with all that stuff in place. But we do have a process for submitting and proposing new working groups. So if you're focused on something like identity, or we had a recent proposal for the UX research working group, you can actually click on new issue and use this thing we call the call for participation and submit your idea, what you think we should work on. I encourage you to review what we've got first and see if one of those might be a good place for you. But again, everyone has something to bring to the metaverse. The leadership pool is not closed. If you want to spearhead an effort, by all means, you're welcome to propose them. Meetings like today are where we review that type of stuff. So we will take a look at some things today, like the new bi-weekly OMI Developer Hour, which I'm super excited about, our recently proposed UX Research Working Group, and we'll review a proposal for using a welcome system bot. Now, if this is your first time being here, or if you've never had the opportunity before to introduce yourself, this time we'd love to hear from you. Take maybe 15, 30 seconds. Tell us who you are, maybe what you're working on, and what brings you here. Do we have any newcomers today?
Seems like we're good to go.
Cool, thank you. And Robert, good call out in chat. You can use the pop-out feature if you want to have chat open at the same time. So our agenda for today, before I proceed, do we have any volunteers to help take notes?
I am also recording this call completely, so it's going to our Twitch, and we have it for YouTube later.
Thank you, Evo. Recordings, I know people actually do watch them too. I get people reach out to me every now and then about that, so that's super helpful. If you do have some things that you hear out, or if you are keeping private notes and you want to share them, you can dump them here into the comments. You would just go to OMI group/OMI group discussions, and on the top of discussions, you'll see today's weekly meeting agenda. You just click on that. You can dump any comments, screenshots, stuff like that here that you think is relevant. We'll do our best to capture stuff as we go. And all right, let's dive on in. So first things first, the OMI Champion Meeting recap. We met as the elected leads, since we have so many new folks that have stepped up to help lead different efforts here at OMI. We were able to pull the majority of us together last week. It was a super productive conversation. It went over. I think it turned into about a 2-hour long call. Does anybody that was there with us want to kind of summarize any of the stuff that we did? Talk about it a little bit?
I'm just looking for some notes. I think I wrote some.
Yeah, Jen had great notes. It was great to get a broad cross section of community members to really speak into what we need to do next and to step up in terms of how we're going to do events, especially because that's one of those things that kind of touches every aspect of our community, and we want to really start to coordinate and get ourselves into a project management flow, which is one of those things that has been very interesting for us. Jen, do you have your notes?
Not really. I'm looking, but I'll get back to y'all.
One other thing that from like the media side, because there was a pretty heavy focus on media in that meeting, we had discussed sort of a content or some content that we're going to make very soon on how you all can contribute like blog content and what is appropriate to be as like OMI posting this content. And another part of that was we discussed a bit how access will be given to folks to write blog posts on the website as a contributor role. And we'll have an editorial flow where you submit it to be reviewed by our editors, and the editors can publish that to the blog. So that's sort of how we'll have an intake of new content. I have a pending task on my end to make a form so that y'all can send me what username you want to use, what email address you want to use, and a few details about you so that when you write your content, your bio is at the bottom. And yeah, those are some of the big things that I remember.
And to back that up, Anthony is working on just a walkthrough video. So for those of you who are new to using that particular backend, it's going to walk you through the step-by-step on how to submit. But we are looking for more content contributors across the board. So we are writing a content guide that is within the media team. So LMB and Jesse and I met separately, but that has included figuring out what is going to work for the OMI blog. Anthony's got a great post on our first year coming up, and all of you are welcome to contribute blog posts. We're going to start repurposing some of the ones that basically reposting the things that you've already put out elsewhere if you've put them on the Airtable. And if you're looking for all of the media team links, they are all in a channel called Media Links that LMB set up. So if you are looking to become a contributor, every link you're going to need is there in the Discord. And also LMB is doing a great job of helping move us over to GitHub as far as those deliverables. So the content guide, contributor workflow, making sure that's super easy for anyone who wants to contribute, and editorial, making sure that we understand the process for getting things up on our channels. So that's the overlap. Obviously, champions needed to take a look at how both media and events overlap with the greater life of the community. And so that's how this is all sort of unfolding. The media team is going to focus on the social side. Website team is again focused on the website and blog. And champions is going to need to hold the center around events because neither of those are really held elsewhere.
One other thing from the media side is that we spend a pretty good chunk of time talking about a newsletter that we send out every month that has like more of a recap of everything happening within OMI within the last month. And the goal is to get each working group chair, or at least some member from each working group, as well as some recaps from our general meetings to write content for this monthly newsletter, so we can distribute the work, roll up all the related content into a monthly, easily consumable newsletter. So that people can keep up to speed even if they don't come to every single meeting, because a lot of our stuff happens in these voice calls right now, which is
right.
Unfortunate for people who miss out on them.
And our small community that is here on Discord is not necessarily representative of our whole community. We have like over 2,500 Twitter followers now. We have a lot of people watching us on other channels that aren't necessarily in our Discord. So we're needing to figure out how we synthesize more of what's happening here inside for the rest of the world. So that's a general call for contribution as well. So we want to, again, if you think of yourself as being able to contribute either in streaming, video, blogging, or socially through events, let's talk about that.
Hi, this is Shelley. So at the Champions meeting, were you guys able to discuss the volunteers at all? Because I think that was tabled, and obviously their editorial strategy is something that we do have to clarify and socialize with the rest of the community. But is that something that you guys were able to discuss in terms of volunteers?
Yeah, brought it up a couple times during it. So the monthly newsletter, the way that I was trying to approach this is we use the existing volunteers that we have on the working group levels, and Anthony has volunteered to be the newsletter editor. That's all in the notes there. The blog content, we did not discuss that because there wasn't. There weren't like a whole lot of volunteers within the group. Twitter content was mostly talking about what we can repurpose for Twitter as well. So I think the answer is there is a lack of volunteers on media side of things. So trying to work with what we have as far as the monthly newsletter and Twitter content and blog content is still
right. Yeah. And we need to do a different type of volunteer outreach that isn't here on Discord, but that might be broader and differently aligned, because obviously talking to the same small group of people here, we're all stretched. And there are a lot of students and people watching who might want to be involved but don't know how. So we have to bridge that gap by using our other channels, Twitch and Twitter and Reddit probably as well. We also did talk about Mastodon, and that is something that has been sort of in flow, but is not, as I understand it, we're still in progress on the Mastodon side of engagement.
Yeah, I got an account under the wider web org, but we still need to set it up and figure out how we're going to syndicate posting. There's an easy bot to get that set up. It's more just figuring out our social media strategy in general.
LMB.
I agree.
The main thing, though, that I think we should take away from this is that we can get started with the content that we're already producing. This is, I don't know, I'm just repeating what we had in our the discussion we had during our meeting the other day, which is that we're already doing a lot of things within OMI on a monthly cadence, and so as long as we're summing all of that up, putting it into a newsletter and getting that out there, I think we will have regular content to be posting, and we can repeatedly reference pieces of that content through our Twitter to make sure that we're at least staying in the online conversation. The blog stuff, I would say we should take our time on that and not just post more thought pieces without content to them. So I don't think that we have to rush into the blog.
Absolutely agree. And we also want to get it super clear that blog posts need to be about OMI and not just about the general field, and that we are a channel about what's happening here. So if it's something that's emerging from your hack-togethers and your working groups, that's the kind of content we're especially looking for. And that can be video content. It doesn't have to be written. But if you need help in terms of getting great, interviews or screen sharing, things like that, I'm happy to drop my scheduling calendar. And I apologize for those that it broke on last week. We have been starting to get some of those video interviews in the can for you. I would like to do more of those, and I know some of you have been gearing up for it. So if that's a better way for you to communicate, let's just make it happen. I think where LMB is focused is content strategy and also automation, and making sure that we have a content management solution that can take all of this content and help us see it effectively, because we just don't have that right now. As I understand it, some of the WordPress plugins will be able to help us with aspects of automation from the blog side. But we're still deciding on the best tools for organizing. LMB has done a great job of bringing us into GitHub, though, to project manage for now.
It's so funny you say that, because sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, where's Jesse when he need it? I have a question, really quick one, because I do want to move a few things from the meeting last week forward. So I had a quick chat out with Jen and Anthony yesterday, and then Eva, I know we called up just put the notes out for yourself on Discord and also on GitHub. But I kind of would like permission to do the items under section A. And if I get that permission, that will allow me to complete what I can do under section B with the action. So if you guys can kindly look and just give me a heads up or a no, and that way at least I know how to move forward.
And that's also a great place to jump in as a contributor on the GitHub if you feel like that's easier for you to engage. So please do.
Oh yeah, it's I guess it's on GitHub, but I don't know. I'm kind of blocked at the moment, so if you could just put the high note and just either give me a heads up or a note, because I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah. So is this it that you're talking about here?
Hold on, I'm reading. That's it. So okay. I need approval for everything under section A, and then I can do section B. Section C is information that you just updated me on. So thank you.
All right, I'm on it. Let's see. Let's check this out. Issues, new issue. Section A. Oh wait, actually, I can do this even better. Sorry. This is good for everyone to see. Thank you so much for doing this, actually. All right, so I'm going to create, reference a new issue, and say A to get to B. I will give it a new title later, but this I'm going to be able to add to this and projects, this, and I'm going to move it into blocked so that we can make sure that we address this. So now on projects, here, it'll be.
And I think we unblocked most of A there already. So I think it's the third one in particular that needs to be addressed.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
The other thing, we're going to also need to put an unblock on our YouTube, because Anthony and I can't currently get things to go up to our YouTube. So we're going to sort that out separately. But these are the sorts of 2FA problems that communities have all the time, y'all. And this is part of why managing media together is a bit more cumbersome than, companies that pay for the tools to do this.
Yeah. All right, I'm on it. So now when I go to this ticket here, I can see I created the ticket from your comment, and I can see where it originally posted. So just for anybody to see kind of how the sausage is made on GitHub and why we use it. And then a fun fact, I'm going to move this in here so everybody can see. And let's go into media.
Whoa!
That was trippy.
So now because I created that ticket and I let it know that it's in blocked, it's syndicated with the channel OMI Media. And so now I have a reminder there too. So our channels and our working groups repos are now subscribed, at least one way. GitHub is subscribed to Discord. Discord is not subscribed to GitHub. So yeah. Yeah, thank you.
So you made that issue for my comment, but in case I want to create an issue myself, so I can move it through the Kanban board, how do I do it?
You should be able to. If you don't have those permissions, then I need to add you to I need to fix the permissions. You should just be able to move it. If not, then we'll unblock you outside of this.
Did you go to the 3 dots on the right? It's just because you're super fast, so
yeah.
I think blinked.
And by the way, yeah, these are the OMI champion notes for anybody who wants to see what we discussed.
Awesome.
Thank you for finally
loved
finding
it.
those champion
I had to
notes.
find
I
it.
appreciate that.
Would say either.
I'm glad you
We
found the
did-
champion notes.
we
We're
needed
good.
conversations in Discord. So
That part's done. It's really the third one, and also I'm not sure about the embed bot.
embed links using the Me6 bot to complete some actions. The feature may be available on a free version. Okay, yeah, we can work through this stuff together. And
Cool.
then you said once we get you unblocked on A, then you can do B.
Yeah, there are a few things on B. Not everything on B is mine, but at least I can do mine. And then, because Anthony, based on our chat, do you have the draft now? Quite keen to see it for the 1 year.
Do I have which part? The blog post?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I would say 80% done. I've just got a couple more sections. It got late last night, and I was way too many hours on. I had to just stop.
Anthony, do you need anything in terms of screenshots from working groups or anything to finish that off?
Yeah, so I left. I sent. I'm gonna post a link in the website channel, but I sent you a DM because with a preview link, and you can view that because I added you as manager yesterday. That preview link has some notes in it of what I need. Like I would love to have that group photo, the IRL group photo.
Right.
I think that's the only pending thing that I could use right now. The rest I've got. I just.
Robert, do you have a photo of us from the other meetup we did? I wasn't sure if we had many in-person photos together, but
I don't think so.
I'm gonna go back and look through my phone today. I'll see what I can find for you. But in general, we haven't gathered that much in person, y'all. So there's very little photographic evidence of us as real people.
You can also use some of the images from the tour that we did when we hung out with M3 with Jen, and maybe we can get you some other photos too if you want those. But which was super fun, by the way, Jen. I just had so much fun. I keep showing people the photos of us touring Blockbuster.
Oh yes, that's the actual featured image of this blog post. It looks.
Oh, sweet. Okay, we'll get you that. And if there's any other updates that I missed, because there's a lot of media stuff wrapped up in this recap here, feel free, anybody, including you, Shirley, anybody is welcome to just add replies here if I missed something, and that just makes sure that, other folks who do come and look at these notes are able to kind of see what we discussed.
Yeah, I think that's really valid. So if anyone's interested or has a stake or somehow will be affected or can affect the media strategy, please do give us feedback, getting engaged so we also know when to tag you if we're having meetings or recaps, etc.
Yeah, we're really starting to mature as a group. We're getting there, and we wouldn't be here without people like you, Shirley. So thank you. All right. So any other things we want to bring up about the media group? Okay. I'll make sure.
Just a quick one. So I do have to try and play in with the website team because there are synergies there. So I probably should probably be aware when the next meeting is.
Yeah, I jumped in yesterday's just to try and connect with Anthony, and yeah, it would be good for you to maybe jump on the next one. Now, we've assigned, I think, because Robert and Anthony admin our website as a whole, Jesse and I can manage that editorial role for the blog between us, I think, and then we'll pass that on to others. But we need to, the editorial strategy obviously is the other piece of the puzzle, and we'll sort that out.
Yeah, great.
All right, cool. And just a shout out, since the website team meets on Tuesdays and one met last night, so that you don't have to wait 2 weeks, I encourage website team and media team to explore a ad hoc time. Also, Shirley, with you being in the UK, the time that the website team meets is 6 to 8 Eastern, so that's probably late for you. So you guys might want to find a new time just for this dual group meeting anyways. So I can help, or you're welcome to take the lead on that if you guys want.
Cool.
If you want, we can create
it would have to be really early for me to make it. Currently, if where it is the only time that I can really be outside of
Got it, because you need it to be not during work hours. So we're going to need to figure something out between all of us once we get it flowing. Cool.
Let's use that tool again, that Robert had, which is like so useful and like the most hilariously uncomfortable UX in the world. But I sent this to one of my teammates, and he was like, "This is like calculus."
It's a guy.
The availability one, that was trippy.
Yeah, but it worked. It worked. So, all right,
It's sad that this is a free tool that is also better than Doodle.
I know. And then some more detailed notes about media from the what are we called? Champions Sync. Just for anybody, this is the note that like Robert took like such good notes that day too. Robert and Jen. So I'll paste this here, and boom. All right, so let's move on. Let's see what's next. Let's talk about some of these before we talk about the other working groups to spice things up. This was a proposal from Robert about doing a bi-weekly OMI developer hour. I believe the group found a time, and I love the why behind this. Robert, do you want to talk a bit about it?
Yeah, so we've been meeting every week for about 30 minutes for the OMI scripting group, which is for creating an interoperable standard for behaviors embedded in GLTF, or just like scripting up user-generated content in general. And we're still a little bit of a ways out on implementing this tech. So we've been kind of using that time to just discuss more general tech topics, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'd love to invite more people to come and chat about development-related topics. So we have this time already. We were meeting every other week, just giving demos and chatting about things. So we'd like to do a more formal process for that, where we're just, formal and less formal. We'll have a dedicated time every other week to chat about developer-related things for an hour. And that would be at 9 a.m. Pacific or noon Eastern time. So you're waking up in the morning on the West Coast. It's right after work in Europe. So it just seems like a pretty good hour to just hang out and talk about developer related things. So the first one would be next week. We've got an hour slot already on the calendar for the WASM group, or the OMI scripting group, and it would be really great to just have some people there and have a casual user group sort of meetup every other week.
Robert, what were you developers talking about?
So last week we were talking about we've talked about networking. We've talked about some security related things, especially with like shared memory access and things like that. It's pretty all sorts of different topics. We've talked about I have like this multi-threaded engine architecture that I've been working on for Third Room, and so I went into that during our GLTF meeting, and I'd like to go into that in more detail if people are interested. Adam's gone into some topics from their platform, ScienceSpace. So it's just kind of all over the place in terms of topics, and we'd encourage other people to come in and chat about things.
Would this be good for people who are potentially trying to transition from, I guess, non-metaverse related work?
I would say that it's gonna be all over the place. So some things are gonna be really deep in the weeds, technical side of things, and other things might be more high-level topics. If people are having a hard time explaining it explaining a very low level concept at a higher level, like I think we'll have the right people in the room to like, try and make these topics more accessible. I generally try to start high level and then work my way down into the low level details of a thing so that I can effectively like teach someone about something. But I don't know, it's just kind of like an open hour to talk about all these different things.
Yeah, and to expand on that, folks who have been with us for a long time, you've probably heard me harp around the idea of having more demo days and having doing more of our lightning talks or demo nights, and it's almost like this. Like it's like I skipped this step, right? Like didn't even think about how practical and simple this is, but I believe that this is something that will really benefit our community. Is just getting together and hanging out and just talking about this stuff, right? So I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I hope that you all will feel comfortable to join. And maybe the coolest problem we could have is that we need to have more of these. But we'll take it. We'll take it one at a time.
These projects are super useful. I can say that I used to be a part of a meetup group that was in person in San Francisco doing similar things called Building the Decentralized Web. And we would just hack together and be very, sort of generative in the moment, like a bar camp every week. And many of us still collaborate like a decade later. So you don't know what's going to come from these collaborations. Like sometimes it's just planting a seed for something down the road.
Definitely. I mean, that's how I take it right now is like, I just really enjoy talking with this group of people about technical stuff. Like for me, this is pretty early in the morning and I'm not really like fully ready to start my day. And then I get to talk with all these amazing people about cool topics. So it's just fun.
Cool. Thanks for writing that up and for working out the time as a group. I think that's super just awesome. So, and mature to look inward too. It's like we've got maybe a month, maybe longer before the scripting work's going to pick up and we find ourselves enjoying conversation. So why don't we make a process out of it? Yeah, it makes sense. All right, so next up we have the proposed UX research working group. I'm not sure if they were able to attend today, but I have talked to them async. I would rather Jet be able to make it, Jonas be able to make it to talk about this before we have the vote, but I wanted to at least continue the conversation. When we did our Look Inward workshop session, some of the things that bubbled up to the top of potential new working groups that might be of interest. One of them that had some interest was, and gets brought up regularly, is the concept of the UX research working group. This type of group would get together and explore, try to just get a better, deeper understanding of what end users need and want, and how we can accommodate for those things, their voice in the work that we're doing. If you've ever heard me do any of my product management rants, one of my most common things I like to bring up is that we're looking for balance between the tech stuff, the developer stuff, the feasibility. We're looking for a balance of the business side, right? Does this, like being a part of this, does this benefit your platform? Does using open protocols benefit your experiences, or is it going to make you more money, or is it going to, lower your costs? Those are the viability needs. And then we have what the users, the end users, people, human beings who are going to be experiencing and affected by the work that we do, or the usability stuff. And finding balance, there's always a natural tension between those three things. And it's really easy for experts of one of those three things, right? Like a CEO to ignore what's feasible and what users need in the name of making a profit, or for a tech lead to kind of get super detailed in the weeds and not really care about what it looks like or what users need or about how to make money. They just care about what's possible. Like, it's easy to get kind of wrapped up in our own domains. I love the idea of this proposal because it's just getting us thinking about another side of the equation from the user perspective and accommodating for that. So let's call out a couple of risks, right? Whenever we propose a working group, we want to ensure that that group's going to be able to have an active person who can help lead and organize it, right? Like, we don't want this work constantly falling on the same shoulders of the same people. We also would rather not vote and approve a group that winds up fizzling out a week or two later. Sometimes we're excited about stuff, or people who are new in our group can be excited about stuff, and a week or two later, they're excited about something else, right? The metaverse is a really big thing. And so we don't want to just rush to go form groups if folks won't have the availability, interest, or any of those capabilities to be able to actually drive that work forward. What I really respected about Jonas's proposal here is they called out what this group would do, where they would start some of their research, and they volunteered to be a working group lead and to help organize this. Without them present, again, I'm not going to advocate that we push this to vote, but I do want to open it up and take time if anybody wants to add any comments, thoughts, suggestions about this stuff. Does anybody, any thoughts from the community around us potentially forming a UX research working group?
I will say that this is probably likely to bring back folks who aren't active in our Discord right now, but are looking for something like this to participate in. Those include creators and producers and folks who are adjacent, but maybe aren't seeing their work reflected in our current working groups. So I will say that I'm having a lot of private conversations that would be well placed in this group. I just don't know, like we would need to bridge back to like the broader community to invite people in again, because I think that's those folks aren't currently having that conversation here because they didn't know to come here for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, without this group, there hasn't really been that place for many of the folks who do participate in this community, who are researchers, product designers, UX, UI. I know I can especially speak for the Angel group. Like when we first formed OMI, pretty much 90% of anyone who was participating in anything Angel was actually not a developer. They were just UX design, UX researcher, that camp. So I know that they've reached out a few times over the past year looking for ways that they can get more involved, and I know that other folks have to be feeling that way. So I think you bring up a really good point. So here's what I'll encourage the group to do is get involved in that discussion. If you're interested in this, like, get involved here. Say, hey, I'm interested, or hey, I'd like to shape, maybe have questions. Jonas did leave a kind of confusing statement here, which I haven't been able to chat with them yet to ask what they meant, but I don't think they meant what they said here. They said that they engaged a researcher to conduct the study, so they're looking for sponsors to support it. It kind of deviates from the point of forming the working group, so I do want to give them a chance to be here to be able to answer those types of questions. So make your statements, throw out ideas, ask any questions, raise awareness about this proposal, and then maybe we can vote for it next week once we get a bit more information. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic here. I've got a barking dog who's being very silly, so I'm going to step away for a sec. But before we do, let's review this welcome system. I know, Robert, I believe that you were going to audit of it, and if you don't mind kind of talking about how that went.
So, I asked Red Eagle to give us access to the source code for this system, and it's a really cool bot. I'd love for us to be able to use it, but it's still closed source. I have access to the source. It's a private repository, and I've looked through it, and unfortunately there's a remote code execution bug straight up in it. So until that's open source and I can fix it, I don't think that we should roll with this. Basically there's a bot command that just evaluates any code that you send to it. So we should not use it until that's removed. And I would like for us to host our own infrastructure for OMI and not depend on, either it has to be auditable or well-trusted infrastructure, or we host it ourselves. So I don't know. Any other comments on that? I really do want to use this though, because there is a lot of really cool features in it. But I will reach back out to to Video about that. I did have some cool features about event reminders, polling, all sorts of different things that we could use. There are also alternatives within the existing bots that we have with CarlBot and Apollo. So I think we just need a strategy for using those existing bots. I don't have a huge amount of experience in Discord bots. So if someone has more experience running successful Discord communities, which I know we have a few of those people in here, and want to help out, let me know.
Robert, I can try and help. Useful?
Yeah, that'd be super great. I
can also help. As far as setting up a React verified page to cut down on bots joining. Just reach out to me if you need help.
That would be great. Yeah, would love help with that. Also, if you could just point me to like resources that are useful, I'm more than happy to just like read things and learn that way as well. There's an overwhelming number of bots and different best practice guides out there, and I'm unsure who to listen to.
Robert, just a quick question. I'll be really quick. Is this bot, have you chosen a specific bot, or because there's so many for different types of things?
Yeah, Red Eagle was suggesting it for recurring like meetings and things like that. We already have a bot that does recurring meetings. We technically have 2, maybe 3 right now, because we have Apollo, we have CarlBot, and I don't know if we have Me6 installed in here or not. I don't know. We're trying to limit the amount of like permissions we give these bots to, because we are growing in size fairly quickly, and I've had experiences with rogue bots, which is why I audited this one from Red Eagle. So
yeah, I was hoping to add the Me6 for just some limited stuff. So, but I don't think it does recurring events. So I think Carl might be better, or the other one.
Okay. And then
good experience with Carl.
With Carl? Okay.
And also, we have to be careful about admins being hacked and deleting stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I've had. Yeah, that's happened in the past with some communities that I've been involved with.
I mean, have we even considered potentially having just a one-step verification, just so we don't, if because that can happen.
I want to, Jesse, we should enable two-factor authentication. I've seen it's just sitting there, and we can easily turn it on. I already have it enabled on my account. It just needs to be checked as a requirement for all admins, and that's not currently in place. So
we had it enabled, and somebody requested that we disable it. They couldn't do something that they needed to do. So, but that was like a year ago. So yeah, I'm totally happy to do that.
We should absolutely require that. It's the biggest piece of defense that we have.
All right. So what I'll do is make a ticket for that. Boom. Because our system is beautiful. Reference a new issue. Create.
There you go, being super fast again. I totally missed all that.
That's funny. We can do this together. And labels, resiliency. Boom. Okay. And I'll assign this one to me. And that's it. Should be good. Let me add it. Organizing. Oh, cool. Yep. Quick refresher. Milestones are the way. This is a new process for us. We are backfilling it, so it's going to take some time for us to get comfortable using it. But when you're working in your working groups, you can go to issues. They're hard to find. Gosh, it shouldn't be so hard to find, but it is. Click on issues, then you click on milestones, and you can say, we want to plan for VCAT, or we want to figure out this new important thing. You just click new milestone, and then you can organize issues around a milestone. So if anybody wants more details on that, reach out. I'll show you how to do it.
Just to continue on the Discord topic, so the things that I think we want to implement are, so yes, 2FA is like priority 0. But the other things are we need to get a better handle over our recurring events. So let's all create a ticket for that. And then what Morpheus was talking about with the just trying to cut down on the number of bots that can join. So that's a React emoji verification process. Basically, they just have to click one of the things in order to join. And what else did we want? I mean, ideally a voting bot. We've talked about that for a long time. Just a polling system automatically just does /vote, and then you enter in your statement. It would be really great if we had a list of... What's that?
I can find the bot I use. I think it's just poll.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Dino does that as well.
Does it spit out a list of people who voted in each way?
They show up as reacts, and so then when you just say show reactions, then you see who voted for A, B, or C, or you get to ask the question. And
we need
really
we need a system that's more easily copyable into like the related GitHub issues and stuff like that for auditing it. Obviously you can go back in the Discord history and go and check it, but I don't know, just some way to make our polls more auditable and
So if you want to use Snapshot, there's no cost to utilize it. It's a zero gas voting system.
Yeah.
So that way proposals or things that you want to have recorded forever, there'll be a history of all the votes, and and I can help you set up that. It sounds like
does that require a crypto wallet for that?
Yeah, you have to have a wallet.
Okay, well, we can't use that in this community.
Then inside Discord, I would imagine that the poll bot would be the results would always be there. So showing history, but don't let people comment. It would be the archiving of the results.
Yep. Okay. So we'll have to find some sort of bot or customized one in order to...
Dino does that. It's a voting bot. So you select your question and then you give the options and it keeps track of who's voted for what, and it's just there as your record. So we can potentially create a channel, put all our polls in that channel and just be able to reference them whenever we...
Which bot was that?
Dino.
Okay. Cool.
Let's see if I can get a screenshot.
It's so funny assigning the label "Make the Metaverse More Human" to a ticket that says "Implement a Bot." All right, and Robert, I know you said you're going to write the ticket here. You're welcome to just rewrite this one. I'm just adding it to a... Oh, you did? Cool.
Added Dino to the voting bot process.
All right. Nice. That's awesome. Okay, sweet. So now I'm tracking the milestone just for how the sausage is made. Selecting our bots. So we need to figure out our bot situation. There's a lot of different bots we could use. We also have a number of bots in our Discord. So this is where I'm tracking that. We can make different tickets for different bots, and as we close them, I'll also say audit existing bots. Meta issue. Don't know what just happened, but audit existing bots. And this will also get added there, and I'll track it here. I do grooming regularly throughout the week, but I do a public grooming once a month. So if anybody wants to see how I make sense of all these tickets that I'm making and how it doesn't drag us down or freak us out, I encourage you to attend. Cool. All right, so let's go back down here. That was bots, welcome system. And thank you, Red Eagle, if you're watching this now or if you're watching this later, for proposing that, because you stirred up an important conversation. I have a very fast PR on how to use GitHub. It's again, forgive me, I'm just going through process because I'm trying to follow the processes that I think other folks would follow. If you want to make changes to the README, you probably wouldn't push to master. You'd probably submit a pull request with your suggested changes. So I'm trying to follow that myself too. The suggested changes that I made, and I'm just looking for one person or two people to be a reviewer, is I changed our how to get involved doc. So let me go here. Where is it? This. And then where's the view I'm looking for? Oh, there we go. So I added how to get involved. We made it easier to find. Robert had a really good point. I made a ticket for myself that I was going to create a video showing how we used GitHub. Maybe I still do that in the future, but Robert had a great point that well, how about you just make like a doc that has pictures that shows step by step how we use GitHub. Was that about this? Or okay, sorry, I saw you went muted. The pushback that Robert gave made such a good point. Was like, why don't I make this doc? And the good thing is I already made this doc, and I do keep this doc up to date. But this is so funny. He said, "Where's the doc at?" So he went and looked for it in README, and I couldn't find it. And I live and breathe our README, so it was just hidden. It was buried in this text here. So I made it way easier to find. Basically, if you want to see what it looks like in full with the proposal, you'd be able to come here, scroll down, see how to get involved, and then boom, right here. Are you new to GitHub? Check out this document. You can click it, and this we try to keep up to date. I think I might just do another grooming of this and push some of the more important things up to the top, like working groups and using milestones. But this shows you step by step how we create tickets, how you can submit proposals, how you can form working groups, how we use discussions to create tickets like I showed you earlier, and all that's right here. Couple of quick things. GitHub is extremely intimidating if you're not a developer. And if you feel intimidated by it or lost by it, you're not alone. You should not feel bad. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable being able to speak up and say that you need help with it. But we do use it for a reason, and that is that Discord is where we have a lot of chatter, and when new folks join, they don't really know how to get involved or where we left off. And so we use GitHub for a reason. It helps leave breadcrumbs for folks that want to come get involved, helps us keep track of the work that's in flight, and helps us actually do the things that we say that we're going to do. So we continue to try to improve these processes. Again, every time you make a change on your working group, it will send to the Discord channel too. That's a recent process upgrade. But if you read through this, if you have other ideas for simplify this that doesn't involve adding more tools, I'm all ears. If you have a better solution overall that maybe does involve other tools, I'm happy to hear it out. But I'm really trying to make it as easy as possible for us to use the tools that we have in place. So yeah, if anybody wants to review that PR, that's cool. I didn't break anything. It's very simple updates, but I'd love to follow that process. It looks like we're actually at time here, and I believe we covered the majority of our stuff. This is typically where we would then do we would generally move on to talk about some of our working group updates. Does anybody have any other things, any shout outs about your working groups that maybe you want to cover today for any folks that can stick behind? I want to make sure I afford those folks that opportunity.
Jesse, as it's a bit quiet, I just wanted to propose, can we have a start here channel with things like what you just showed on?
Yeah, we call it like useful links or something. Start here is probably a much more friendly UX.
OMI about,
yeah. You want me to change? I can change that name to start here. I think that's actually a much.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, please.
The other thing is it's still that one's pretty far down the channel list too with the. Well, I guess as soon as you have the voice channels closed, it's not really that low. But anyways, yeah, start here.
Oh, okay, let's do this one. GitHub emojis. Sometimes it's just easier just to go to this website and grab the emoji and just copy the actual emoji, for Discord.
Oh, for Discord, just type colon. Oh wait,
it doesn't always work.
or for GitHub, it's colon. For Discord, you got the little emoji menu. You can just start that menu there.
Well, I wanted to complicate it to show you guys how quick I can type. Okay, sweet. So that's a really good suggestion, and I'll take note of that now. All right, and so that's all I've got for today. I'll stop sharing. If anybody else wants to stick around, talk about what your working groups are working on, or just general stuff, you're welcome to stick around. But I really appreciate everybody taking the time out of your day every week. You guys take time out of your weeks to come and join us, and yeah, it's like, look, we keep growing. So bring a friend next week. We'll make that your homework.
Thank you, guys.
I think next week we'll have a bunch more to share on the GLTF working group too. So yeah, stuff going on physics and all that.
And feel free to bring your new proposals to the table. We'll have a blog post up by next week too. See you then.
See y'all.